Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tell Me About Your Damn Book. I'm your host, Stephen Lomer, and with me today is a poet. Yes, we're classing up the joint again with yet another poet. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to meet my good friend, Dianalee Velie. Dianalee, welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
She came all the way from the wilds of New Hampshire. I know I say that all the time, but man, do we get some New Hampshire authors and poets down here.
There's so many of us.
There's a lot of you,
There
yeah.
are so many of us.
I don't know
It's
where all
crazy.
the Massachusetts ones are, but man, we get them from New Hampshire.
That's all there is to do in those long, cold winters.
That's all there is to do up there, is to just write and socialize with other writers?
Yeah.
Okay, now I know. Now you know.
Now that's the secret.
Not anymore. Now the whole world knows. Okay, so if someone goes to your website,
Right.
which is
DianaLeeVelie.com.
DianaLeeVelie.com, everybody. One of the very first things that they see is that you are the Poet Laureate of Newbury, New Hampshire.
Right.
Okay, so for anyone who's watching who does not know the term Poet Laureate, can you explain what that is?
It's just like the chief poet of the town. We have a Poet Laureate of the United States. We have a Poet Laureate of New Hampshire.
Okay.
And I am the Poet Laureate of my little realm of
Nice.
Newbury, New Hampshire.
Okay.
But beyond that, the biggest occasion of being crowned Poet Laureate, I did a lot of work for Children's Literary Society,
Okay.
and they crowned me their Poet Laureate in Laconia school system. They gave me a Burger King crown.
Oh, so they
With-
actually crowned you.
with-
It's not just a term.
with plastic ivy on
They
it.
gave you a crown.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I still have it. It's still one of my prized possessions.
Okay. All right. And so now, what are the duties of a Poet Laureate?
I think whatever they want to make them. In my particular case, I run a poetry. I started the John Hay Poetry Society, which we meet once a month in the library.
Okay.
I give everybody a prompt, and they write from the prompt.
Oh,
This coming up prompt is 5 reasons why.
5
Why,
reasons
whatever.
why. Okay.
It's up for everybody to decide.
Oh, so you take 5 reasons why, and then you just run with that.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
And we're also building, as Poet Laureate, I'm building a poetry path from the playground, our town playground, to our town library with all signs of all the Poet Laureates of New Hampshire.
Oh.
All the state Poet Laureates. So we've already got Donald. Right before Donald Hall passed away, he gave us permission to use one of his poems and one of Jane Kenyon's poems.
Oh,
And both those poets were Poet Laureates of New Hampshire.
I see.
So we're starting with those two, and then we'll just progress through all the Poet Laureates since New Hampshire started having Poet Laureates.
Nice. Okay. All right. Now, what was it about poetry that drew you to it initially?
I wrote poetry from when I was a child,
Okay.
and I had an English teacher, Mr. Nolan.
Mr. Nolan. Shout out to Mr. Nolan, the English
Yes,
teacher.
actually, he taught my niece too in the same high school.
Is that right?
In Wallington, New Jersey.
Okay.
And I wrote a poem in his class. He used to read Shakespeare to us.
Oh,
And
that's a good
he just
teacher.
made me fall in love with Shakespeare and poetry.
Okay.
And I wrote a poem about a snowstorm. And he said, "You're going to come back one day and sign your first book for me, your first poetry book." And I did.
That's awesome.
So he gave me the encouragement.
What a great story.
He gave me the encouragement. Teachers have a lot of influence on
Sure.
people, good and bad.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes,
I
yes.
could tell you a story about some of the nuns too that make your teeth grit.
No nun stories, no. No, please God, no. I have some of my own, so no, don't make me relive that.
No, but teachers have a big influence on everybody, good and bad.
Sure.
So.
So you decided to pursue poetry, and then you've since written a lot of books
Right.
of poetry,
Right.
or put together a lot of books of poetry. You also have a short story collection called Soul Proprietorship: Women in Search of Their Souls. Now, what's inspired you to go that route with those short stories?
I was living in Connecticut at the time,
Okay.
New Hampshire.
You've been around.
I have.
New Jersey, Connecticut, New
I was
Hampshire.
born in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. All right. Shout out to Brooklyn.
So, women, as a writer, everything becomes a story. As a fact, when my son introduces me to people, he says, "Be careful because you're going to wind up in a poem or a story," right?
True.
But people always, there's something about me that my mother used to say I was like the Statue of Liberty. Bring me you're cold, you're hungry, you're poor. And so a lot of people told me a lot of things about their lives.
Huh.
And so what Soul Proprietorship is, the subtitle is Women in Search of Their Souls.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fictionalized collection of stories I've heard
Oh, okay.
women and different things that they're going on in their lives.
Good and
But
bad,
it's
I
fictionalized.
imagine.
Good and bad, but
Okay.
it's fictionalized. It's not. It's definitely not.
Not an actual account with
It's not
the
biography.
names were changed to protect the innocent.
The names and locations and
Okay.
ages and everything else has changed.
Okay.
But it comes from firsthand experience of listening to people
Huh. Okay.
tell me their stories.
And what was the experience of writing fiction versus putting together poems? What was it
Well,
like?
I didn't set out to write the fiction. It's just stories that I wrote over the years.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like I set out to say I'm going to write a short story book.
Okay.
I just wrote the short stories as I heard them, and then all of a sudden you have enough for a collection.
Right. Yeah, that's how my short story collections always come together.
Exactly.
I just keep writing shorts, and suddenly I'm like, oh, this could make a book.
Yeah,
I have
here.
enough for a book right here. Yeah. Now you have I have a list, and it's extensive. You can see all those bullets right there of all of your all of the awards you've won, all the things that you do. How do you find the time and the energy to get all of this done?
I have a big supporter in my husband.
Your husband.
He knows if I'm not home, I'm teaching poetry, and he's always my Sherpa. He's my best support system.
I see.
He carries the books.
Okay. All right.
As a matter of fact, I was teaching in Italy, and we got invited to the American Businessmen's Luncheon, expatriate luncheon of people in Italy.
Sure.
And they said, well, we're so lucky today. We have a poet, we have an artist, we have people from the arts, we have a dancer. And the artist got up and introduced himself. And then Bob got up and introduced himself. And he said, I just retired from 30 years with IBM. And he got a standing ovation. And he said,
As he should.
And he said he also serves as my Sherpa.
Nice.
So having a support system is wonderful, because if we're going to have coconut cream pie for dinner because I didn't cook.
That doesn't sound so bad to me.
It works.
I would be totally fine with coconut cream pies. I have the self-same support system in my wife. She serves as my booth babe when I do book shows.
Right.
So, if it was just me just standing there, I think people would be afraid and not approach the table. But you have a beautiful woman, a beautiful, charming woman. She
Take
says, hey,
advantage
come
of
on over, and they do,
Right.
and then suddenly we have book sales. So
We take advantage of our spouses. don't
yeah,
we?
of course. Yes, you have to. I mean, my goodness, how else are we going to make sales, for crying out loud? So this says you also taught poetry, memoir, and short story at universities and colleges in New York, Connecticut, and New Hampshire, and private workshops. My goodness.
I love teaching.
Yeah?
I love being in the classroom.
Okay.
I think it's one of the most rewarding things I do. When I go into a room where somebody's saying, I've never written poetry. Mm-hmm. I hated poetry in school. Mm-hmm. And when they walk out of that classroom writing their own poetry and being confident in their words and coming up with their own voice, it's just amazing.
Sure.
I'm teaching a class now in for AIL, which is Adventures in Learning at Colby Sawyer College for adults.
Okay.
And there's people in there who've never written a poem. And the class is ancient Latin and Italian poets. So it's the Latin chronic, it's Virgil, Horace, Ovid, then we go to Dante, Boccaccio, and Petrarch. And it's not only teaching them about the poets and the poets' work, it's making them write in their style.
Oh, I
And
see.
amazing work comes out. I'm always amazed at the work that comes out of these workshops.
Huh. And how long have you been doing that?
Oh Lord, I'm going to give my age away.
Never mind.
A long
Never mind.
time.
A long time. That's fine. That's fine. What about? Do you ever teach kids?
Yes, I worked for quite a while for the Children's Literacy Foundation, CLIF.
And how are they? Are they as receptive as adults?
Actually, CLIF sends you mostly into rural neighborhoods where the art. The first thing to be cut in schools now are the arts.
Of course.
And some of these children haven't been exposed to poetry. Some of them have.
Right.
It depends. But again, I'm always amazed at what is inside. Instead of poems about adult matter, you get poems about ATVs, and farm animals, in the rural schools.
Poems about farm animals. Okay.
It's
All right.
marvelous. It's marvelous to see what's on their mind. And then when you bring the teenagers, it's mom, dad, alcohol, sex.
The good stuff. Right.
They're growing up.
Sure. No, that makes perfect sense. Was there one specific poet that sort of inspired you?
William Carlos Williams was my pediatrician.
Okay.
And his son was my children's pediatrician in New Jersey.
Okay.
So, I have a poem to him. It's not in the book Ever After, but it's called To William Carlos Williams the Second Time. My mother says he saved my life twice as a sickly child.
Oh, so okay, but he wasn't a poet.
Yes.
He was a poet.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The red wheelbarrow. You probably all had to analyze that in high school.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
No. So he was a poet and your pediatrician.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And
extraordinary.
his son was my children's pediatrician until he moved to Connecticut.
Wow. That's crazy.
It is. So I have to say he would probably be the biggest influence on me, having heard my mother say he put breath into my lungs twice.
I would say so, yeah. I can't think of anyone more inspirational than that. We need to step away for a moment, but we'll be right back with Dianalee Velie.
The following preview has been approved for all audiences. Welcome to a world where typos can kill. Where only one team can protect the public from the forces of errorism. That team is Typo Squad. Typo Squad. Coming soon.
And we are back. We are back here with Dianalee Velie, and as you can see, while we were away, something magical has happened. Something has manifested between us, and I would guess this is your latest book.
It is.
Am I right?
It is. Ever After.
Ever After. Okay, so tell us about. Maybe I'll give the show a plug and say, tell me about your damn book.
Well, this damn book
Yes.
I wrote when I was recovering from knee surgery,
Oh.
knee replacement, right?
Okay.
And the first poem I wrote, I didn't write for the book. I had assigned my poetry group the prompt of how did I get here?
Oh, wow.
And I wrote in Snow White's voice.
Okay.
And I had so much fun with it that I read the next poem I wrote was after I read a poem about Godzilla attending his 25th high school reunion. So I wrote a poem about Cinderella attending her 25th high school reunion.
Ah, okay.
And then that was two fairy tales down.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like, wait, I can have fun with this because I'm hopping around on crutches because I couldn't put weight on my knee.
Right.
I said, I can really have fun while I'm recuperating. And I did, and my husband would crack up. He'd say, I'd be laughing as I was writing. And he said, you're amusing yourself. You know?
That's the whole point of writing, as far as I know.
Exactly. So the first two poems came, and then the others I had a blast with.
Nice.
I just had fun making fun. I put the fairy tale characters in current and contemporary times.
Okay.
And that was just so much fun to do.
I'm sure it was. There are little heart stickers. Is that indicative of something? Are
That's the
these...
copy I use for readings.
Okay. Would you like to read something?
Sure, I'll read
for
you the
us?
first poem. How did I get here?
Okay. Let's have that. We don't often get readings on Tell Me About Your Damn Book, so this is a rare treat for us.
Oh,
so go right ahead.
How did I end up here, taking care of 7 little men with strange names, who work in the coal mines, then drag dusty, dirty boots across my spotless floors, expecting me to wash their filthy laundry and cook them dinner? And if this isn't enough, there's that old hag who keeps wanting to give me apples. My pretty one, she calls me. Taste my lovely apples today. So one day I took them all and baked a pie for the hungry little freaks, and they all dropped dead. Now I'm on trial for multiple homicides, and I can tell the jury doesn't believe the ugly hag story. I am numb, in a trance, going through this nightmare, when my prince of a public defender waltzes in with the wicked witch, who confesses she just wanted to kill me. I hug my attorney, and he kisses my snow-white cheek, then my ruby red lips. I pat my ebony hair, fix my bow, and smile for the journalists and their cameras. But I know I will only sell my story to those two cute reporters named Grimm. Totally politically incorrect.
Wow.
There's
Now
nothing
see,
politically correct about this book.
I am not a fan of poetry, but man, that was brilliant. Give us another one. Now I want to hear another one
Okay.
because that was great.
Alice meets with her substance abuse counselor.
Okay.
And it starts with an epigraph is a little piece of work that goes before the poem that kind of gives, like the entrance ramp that leads to the highway. It gives you an idea what it's going to be about.
Okay.
And this epigraph is by Jefferson Airplane. And if you go chasing rabbits, you know you're bound to fall. Okay? Alice meets with her substance abuse counselor. You must stay out of Central Park at night. Your excuse is getting old. You can't keep telling me a hookah-smoking caterpillar made you eat those hallucinogenic mushrooms. Now let's talk about your anorexia. You are getting smaller and smaller. At our first meeting, you were huge, obese even, out of rehab and talking about getting fit. Now you've fallen down the rabbit hole again, taking everything to an extreme. Don't go drowning in your own tears. Let's have ourselves a cup of tea. I also have some explaining to do with Central Park Zoo officials. The flamingo you were using for a croquet mallet might not make it. It's going to be off with my head for allowing you probation after your ecstasy rant about a disappearing cat who left behind only a Cheshire grin. But I must wrap up this session now. I'm late for a very important date. And yes, I think it's fine to have a pet dormouse. Good for your head. And it ends with a quote by Jefferson Airplane. Remember what the dormouse said. Feed your head. Feed your head.
Very nice. Very, very nice. That's great. Those are really fun.
The whole book is
all
politically incorrect.
Oh, nice. Politically incorrect Grimm's fairy tales. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Very nice.
And I had fun doing it.
I'm sure you did.
I had fun reading it.
I had fun listening. Everybody's having fun. So is this book available on Amazon?
Yes.
Okay. Are all your books available on
Yes.
Amazon? Okay. So Amazon.com to get your copy of this. And you just heard a few of these people, and these are really great. These are a lot of fun. Are you working on something new?
Yes, I am. I'm working on Italian lesson. It's poems I wrote when I was teaching in Italy.
Ah, okay.
And the difficulties with the language. And one of the poems is about a church that we walked into, and they had an embalmed body of St. Faustus. And there were these little rickety stairs that you had to go up to. And of course, my curiosity as a writer piqued. And I went up these rickety stairs, and they started wobbling. And I grabbed onto the coffin. And St. Faustus' head probably hadn't been moved in God knows how long, hundreds of years. And the coffin shifted, and my husband ran out. And I clambered down the stairs while everybody else was saying their rosaries. But he didn't fall.
Oh, good. Oh, good. By the way, if there are any authorities watching, that was a fictional story. That never actually happened. That was just a flight of fancy that she had. So please don't pursue any legal ramifications of that. Okay, we have come to a part of the show that we call The Five.
Okay.
And it's 5 questions that we ask every writer, poet, whoever comes on the show.
Okay.
And they're all standardized, and we ask everyone. So are you game for the
Sure.
5?
Are you
Okay.
gonna 5 o'clock with the 5? Yeah, I think I've heard that before.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, 5 o'clock with the 5. Why not? Okay, question 1. If they published an author's yearbook today and you were in it, what would you be voted most likely to do?
Most likely to write poetry.
Most likely to write poetry, all
Because I've
right.
written it for so long.
Okay, fair enough, yes.
Or most likely to own 10 cats and 10 dogs.
Really?
Yeah, at
Do
one
you
po-
own?
No,
Okay.
we're animalists, but at one point I had a horse, a goat, 3 cats, and 4 dogs.
Okay. So you'd be voted most likely to be one of those people.
One of those people.
Okay,
One
all
of those
right.
people.
That's fair.
Living on a farm.
All right, that's fair. Question 2. Which 4 faces would appear on your poet's Mount Rushmore?
William Carlos Williams.
Of course. Yeah.
Mary Oliver.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Billy Collins.
Okay.
Of course. Sharon Olds. Of
Okay.
course. I think I hit 4.
No, you get 4. Yes. And the nice
My
thing
Mount
is,
Rushmore would have to be big.
unfortunately, yeah, Mount Rushmore is very limited.
Exactly.
But it's nice that there are women on Mount Rushmore.
Of course.
Oftentimes, when we ask this question, it ends up with 4 other guys than the guys
Really?
that are there.
Do you only
so,
ask guys?
no, it's just interesting that I think people think, okay, Mount Rushmore
Rushmore's
is
gotta
4
be
guys.
male.
Like, yeah, I'll replace that with 4 other guys.
Right.
But you have a nice mix there, so that's good. I like that. Question 3. What's something about you that almost nobody knows?
That almost nobody knows.
Almost nobody. This is the big confession here.
That I have a secret past. How's that?
A secret past.
Nobody knows it. Nobody will.
Interesting. All right. Okay. Does your secret past come out in your poems or in your writings or
Always.
anything? Oh, interesting. So someone could conceivably piece it together.
If they tried hard enough.
Okay. All right. Okay. I like that. That's good. Question 4. What is your favorite curse word, and in what phrase would you be most likely to use it?
Can I say it?
Yes, absolutely.
Bob knows. If I'm working on something and I can't get to where I want to be, I'll say, oh, fuck. I asked you first if I can say it.
And I said you could. And just for the record, the favorite curse word is fuck, and the favorite phrase is oh fuck. Right? Okay,
correct.
excellent. Good. And question 5, if the world ended right after this video, what final message would you want to convey to your fans?
To my fans, it's
Yes.
been a great journey.
Okay.
It's been a great ride.
I like it. That's
Yeah.
good. That'll work.
Yep.
That'll send them off happy into death and oblivion.
God knows where they're going.
God knows where they're going. Only God knows where they're going.
Or Dante.
Or Dante. Dante may know, yes, but just don't shift the coffin. All right, well, thank you so much for
Thank
being on the
you.
show. I
Thank
really
you so
appreciate
much.
it. The book is Ever After. It's available on Amazon.com. Go ahead and get it. And plug your website one more time for the folks.
DianaLeeVelie.com.
DianaLeeVelie.com. Check it out. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you.